My name is Alex Rodriguez, and I'm the Director of Technical Services for SmarterCommerce. And I'm going to share a little bit on the ways that SmarterCommerce can help with customers, both current and future customers, to help them to become PCI compliant. As a level one service provider, SmarterCommerce goes through an annual validation of all the security controls. And at the end, we get what's called a report on compliance that we can share with customers that allows customers to see, the processes that we follow to achieve PCI compliance. And as Jerry mentioned, we do not store or any card data within JD Edwards. Everything is tokenized and stored at the payment gateway. And then Smarter Commerce, as part of the solution that we deploy to customers, has something that's called the Smarter Commerce Pay Cloud or Smarter Commerce Cloud. And that's where we provide all the resources that are needed to integrate with the different payment gateways that Smarter Commerce supports. So right now we support 6 different payment gateways, PayPal, Braintree, and a few others that are available to support transactions globally. So pretty much anywhere in the world that you want to accept a credit card payment, we have a gateway that you can partner with. We also, through partnerships with Braintree Payments, offer for any customers that want to be able to take card present transactions. We can supply, we have an integration that works with certain credit card devices for point-to-point encryption. So that's another way that we can facilitate the use of credit cards. So a little bit on PCI DSS and what it is. So essentially, the payment card industry created a common set of tools and different measures to help ensure the safe handling of the card data and any other sensitive information. For example, name, address, the card security code, expiration date, all of that together with the card is considered sensitive. So what we are able to do by not storing the card data in JD Edwards and instead storing a token or a reference number is we're able to essentially limit the scope of PCI, which is one of the things we've been focused on for our customers is finding ways to really limit what customers need to do to be PCI compliant. And I'll dive into that in a moment. But as far as PCI, it's not a law or regulation. It's really just a set of standards that allow for all the cardholder companies to essentially make sure that customers that are taking credit cards are protecting the data appropriately, both in storage and transmission. So essentially, the PCI is composed of 12 main requirements that are broken into 6 areas. So I'll talk briefly a little bit about each of the areas. So the first main area is to make sure that you've got a secure network and systems put in place to handle cardholder data. And the Smarter Commerce Cloud essentially handles that for customers. So we have our entire infrastructure built out in AWS. We supply redundancy for all of our systems to allow for continuous uptime when taking credit card transactions. The next area is protecting cardholder data. That's essentially handled by the different payment gateways that we support. So anytime a credit card is taken, that information is passed through the gateway, and it is stored for different durations of time, depending on if you're using it for just a simple authorization and then you settle the transaction. The card number is held for a shorter period of time, but we do offer the ability to store cards on file. That information, again, is kept longer at the payment gateways so that you can reutilize that card number. The next few areas are more about controls and and programs to essentially make sure that vulnerabilities are kept away from your systems. So as a service provider, we have a very strong vulnerability management program where we're kept up to date on any new vulnerabilities, and all our systems go through quarterly scans to make sure that we're maintaining that compliance. Strong access control measures. All access to any systems requires that you use some controls, for example, such as MFA, multi-factor authentication, essentially to make sure that anybody that's going to access any resources that are part of our solution, they're going through and using the appropriate security controls. And the last few points, we regularly monitor and test all of our systems, and then we maintain an information security policy to make sure that all of our personnel are up to date on the latest related to PCI and security. So the other piece that we get asked a lot from customers is what do I need to do as an organization to be PCI compliant? If you partner with SmarterCommerce to essentially take the brunt of the uh, workload as far as PCI off your plate, that's essentially step one. The other piece that you can do is use the software in a way to limit the interaction with card data. So as Jerry had mentioned, we have the ability to allow you to essentially have your customers uh, use their enter the card data through an email that they receive. And Diego will demonstrate this in a few moments. But if you use the capabilities where an email is being sent as opposed to somebody entering the card data in an iframe, that's going to reduce the compliance level as far as a self-assessment questionnaire to what's called an SAQ-A, which is, as you can see in the difficulty column, that's the easiest of the questionnaires. There's essentially just a couple pages of questions that you have to answer, mostly about how you're offloading a lot of the requirements to a third party, in this case, SmarterCommerce and the different payment gateways. If you choose to not use the email capabilities and you take on the responsibility for having your employees' key card data in the iframe, then you're going to fall into a different category, which is likely going to be SAQD, or perhaps if you're using one of our e-commerce solutions, it would be an SAQC. So again, the level of work required for PCI compliance depends on how you're using the SmarterCommerce software. So we are very excited to, in the last couple of minutes I have here, to introduce something that's called our SmarterCommerce Trust Center. So we partnered with Vanta, which is essentially a company that helps to facilitate the documentation and controls for different frameworks like PCI. Okay, so I'm sharing right now the what's called our SmarterCommerce Trust Center. This is again powered by a company called Vanta, and what it does is it puts all of our compliance information into one portal, and you can, as a customer or a prospect, you can go to the Trust Center and you can see some information about SmarterCommerce as a company, and then you can see an overview of what areas we have achieved compliance, the different controls that we have in place, the different payment gateways or sub-processors that we interact with. And the most important piece here is if you need to get any documentation showing that SmarterCommerce is compliant, you can see we have our attestation of compliance and report on compliance available for download. In order to do that, you have to simply click the request access button, and then you can supply some information, and then we can give you access to be able to download the appropriate documents as needed. So we see this as a very valuable resource, and once you're in, you also have the ability to ask a question. So if there's any details that you need on how SmarterCommerce is handling a certain aspect of security, you can simply put the question, and that will search through all the documents that we have to provide the best answer. So definitely very excited and encourage customers or any prospects to visit our trust center to get more information on how we um, are doing security at SmarterCommerce.